One top target trending to Texas, one trending away. We got good news and we got some bad news today for Texas fans. Let's bring on national recruiting analyst Sam Spiegelman to talk a little bit more about it. Sam, you want to start with the good or the bad with Texas?
Let's start with the good. Let's dive into it.
Absolutely. Well, we always start with the good here on the Inside Scoop. Five-star cornerback Kobe Black is trending to the Longhorns at 75% over the weekend. What's gone on this spring to put Texas in the lead?
Been able to take a lot of visits to be able to explore a lot of the options in state, like Texas and Texas A&M, and he's also been able to go out of state to Oklahoma, to Ohio State, to LSU and Alabama. He's already locked in his official visit to Texas for next month. Texas is a team that's been trending on the RPM. I put a pick in about a little bit earlier this spring. There's a lot of optimism in Austin about their chances with the elite cornerback. Texas really making a huge run at elite defensive backs with the crop they have in state for this 2024 cycle. Kobe Black potentially being the headliner there in Austin.
So who is the Longhorns' biggest competition for the five-star corner?
Yeah, talking to people close to Black's recruitment, you have to keep an eye on Oklahoma. Brent Venables, Jay Valai, Brian Hall, their new safeties coach, have really role in recruiting Kobe Black. His brother plays at Oklahoma State, so the family can see a lot of positives about both kids being enrolled in schools in Oklahoma. Easy to see both kids on Saturdays and over the course of the weekend. And Oklahoma has gotten him on campus almost as much as Texas. There seems to be a battle between the two Red Rivers rivals.
All right, well, let's bring Texas fans a little bit more good news before we get to the bad. But before that, hit the subscribe button for me. We're trying to build something special here at the On3 YouTube page. We'd appreciate if you guys got on board and subscribed. All right, Sam. Four-star DB Selman Bridges has locked in an official visit to Texas for June 23rd. Who are the top teams competing for the number 46 prospect overall?
Texas has to be the first and foremost in Selman Bridges' recruitment. He's out there in Lake Belton, only about an hour away from campus in Austin. In Texas, Steve Sarkisian and Terry Joseph have done fantastic with Selman Bridges. Their biggest competition comes from USC, TCU, and Arkansas. All schools have gotten him on campus. USC made a major move getting him on campus a little bit earlier last month. Spent a lot of time with Lincoln Riley and Dante Williams out there in California. But he's also been able to been to Arkansas and TCU quite a bit. We know that TCU made a run at the College Football National Championship last year. That really caught Bridges' attention, especially as they were recruiting him really hard in this 2024 class. And Coach Pittman over there in Arkansas has done a really good job with Selman as well. But right now, I think they're all trying to play catch up with the Longhorns.
All right. Do you think his five-star teammate, wide receiver Micah Hudson, will be there as well that weekend?
Yeah, Texas is working very hard to keep Micah Hudson in state. He is at the top of Texas's board at the wide receiver position and a top target and priority for first-year wide receivers coach Chris Jackson since he arrived. Micah has been to Texas quite a bit. He plays on Friday night, so visiting Austin on Saturdays has been a theme in his recruitment. He's been there this spring, and they're hopeful that he will take an official visit this summer, ideally with his teammate Selman Bridges, who's leaning in that direction.
All right, well, let's touch on some of that bad news that we were talking about at the top of the show. Micah Hudson really isn't a slam dunk for the Longhorns, and he's the number one wide receiver in the state of Texas and appears to be wide open. I mean, if you look at his RPM, I know they're in a dog fight right now with Texas Tech, and Hudson visited Texas Tech twice this summer, Alabama, and he's been talking to Georgia about also setting up a visit. So if Hudson goes elsewhere, that isn't a particularly good sign for Texas, especially after signing Arch Manning last cycle. Hudson's the number one wide receiver in state, but the bad news at wide receiver is that they're also trailing for the number two wide receiver in the state of Texas, Bryant Wesco. It looks like he's heading to rival Oklahoma Sooners. He's been trending heavily towards them. Right now, it's showing 97% on his RPM. Sam, Bryant Wesco is trending to OU. Is Texas struggling at wide receiver recruiting right now?
No, they're just transitioning. Steve Sarkisian tabbed Chris Jackson as their new wide receivers coach at the beginning of the calendar year, and Chris Jackson was getting his feet wet, trying to recruit the best receivers in the state of Texas. Right now, Texas is in a dogfight with Texas Tech for the number one receiver in the state, one of the best receivers in the country, Micah Hudson. But I like where the Red Raiders sit with Micah Hudson at this point. I put an RPM for the Red Raiders last week, and there's a lot of optimism in Lubbock about Joey McGuire getting one of these elite receivers in state. The other receiver you mentioned, Texas is making a big run at Bryant Wesco. We know the 5-star from Midlothian there in Dallas. My RPM is also on Oklahoma with Wesco. Oklahoma, TCU, and LSU have been the favorites with Wesco for a good amount of time. But Texas is trying to play catch up there, and they're still in that race if they can get him on campus. And then the other receiver to watch is Parker Livingston. He's already set his official visit to Austin for this summer. He's been a top target for Steve Sarkisian since offering last fall. So we talk about a lot of these 3 receivers in the state. They have some momentum with a few of them, especially Parker Livingston.
All right, so maybe saying that they're struggling at wide receiver is a bit of an exaggeration. Maybe it sounds like more of a work in progress. Do you think that as this cycle wears on, that Texas fans will see some of the results that they want to see at the wide receiver position?
Yeah, absolutely. I think once Texas's season starts, there's a lot of buzz about Quinn Ewers and what this offense will look like. With Steve Sarkisian, obviously one of the best play callers in the country. I think once Chris Jackson gets settled as a receivers coach and the product is on the field, it could bolster them recruiting-wise.
Yeah, you're right. I think that Texas fans, you got to view it as a work in progress right now. The results will come and the game's got to be played. Texas offense should be quite powerful this year, so we'll see if those commitments at the wide receiver position follow. Sam, thanks for checking into the Inside Scoop today.
Thank you for watching. Make sure you smash that subscribe button for me, and remember to check out all the videos on the On3 YouTube page.